Ну что, друзья, всем привет! В прямом эфире 21:15, как и договаривались. Ну что, будем ждать Марка. Это, кстати, так зовут нашего native спикера на сегодня. Марк с Нью-Зеланд. Угу. Я очень пыталась быть красивой. В общем, I did my best. Сделала все возможное. Итак, будем ждать. Да! Так, Марк здесь. Угу. Просто Марк пробует первый раз вообще. Да, так, запрос есть. Ждем. В общем, для Марка это первый опыт выхода в прямой эфир в Инстаграме. Поэтому будем надеяться, что он будет успешным.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going?
It's good.
Great. So thank you for joining. How do you feel?
You're welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm just finished, studying, as I told you, coaching things, etc. So I really appreciate that you agreed to have this conversation. And let me explain you how it will look like. By the way, it's your first time. It's your first time trying this live. Yeah.
That's right.
Congratulations.
You
did it.
Live.
Yeah, you did it. Great. Let me explain to you how it will look like. As you know, I told you I was working on television. So I am, as an ex-journalist, prepared some questions for you. And our conversation, our conversation will look like interview about you. Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
So firstly, could you please make a short introduction of yourself, like where are you from, what do you do, how old are you, etc. Just for my followers to know you better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. My name is Mark Jensen. I'm from New Zealand. And if you know New Zealand, I'm from Auckland, which is in the north. It's our biggest city. It's not the capital, but it's our biggest city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I lived most of my life in Auckland, working in the New Zealand film industry.
Yeah, actually, I forgot to ask you about that. I will ask about it later. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry, just to carry on with that. About 9 years ago, I left New Zealand with my wife and baby son and started teaching English professionally in Southeast Asia, a little bit in Thailand and a year in Cambodia. But we decided that wasn't as good as we thought it might be. And so we moved to Turkey, and we stayed in Turkey for 6 years. And that was pretty cool, but the Turkish economy is not that great. So it was hard to cover the cost of living on the Turkish salary. So now we're in Kazakhstan, but I'm still teaching, still teaching English.
Yeah, cool. And we have such a great possibility to join your English club, but we will talk about it later a little bit. We will make some kind of advertisement. So next, my question about New Zealand. To my opinion, people in our country, of course they know about this country, but maybe they know just a little that it's a great country with a good nature, with beautiful nature, that Lord of Rings was filming there. And I think that's all what we know about New Zealand. So could you tell us a little bit more about this country and maybe something special, what can help us to feel, to understand the mentality, to feel what people are there, etc.
Well, yeah, sure. New Zealand is a former British colony, so it was settled by mostly British and European people. But before they arrived, there were natives, humans living already there. Mm-hmm. So there's a diverse culture in New Zealand. It's a mix of immigrants and natives. But over the last few generations, Um, there have been a lot of immigrants from Asia and India and Australia. There's just people from all over the world.
Yeah.
South African, South American. There's people from everywhere around the world in New Zealand, and the culture is very mixed up. So we don't have a lot of the older traditions that European countries or more older countries have, but we have the people from those older countries. It's really strange. And we're a small country, but we have a big name.
Yeah.
Like the All Blacks are the national rugby team, and they are the best in the world. They've had the world champion trophy more times than any other country. They really are the best rugby team in the world. And yeah, we have a booming film, or we had a booming film industry until a few things happened, including the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to work on a few really cool TV shows and movies. I didn't work on Lord of the Rings, but I worked on Spartacus and Hercules: The Legendary Journeys and Xena: Warrior Princess.
Really?
Some of the
Wow. You know, I'm 30,
Yeah.
you know, about that. I'm not so young. And I was a fan of this TV show, you know, when I was younger. That she was like my role model, something like that. Wow.
Yeah. Actually, that was really good because that's what she was for a lot of young women, young girls and women. She was an action role model in a male-dominated genre. Like the action heroes are mostly men, and Xena was one that changed the script, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was a fan of her. Wow, cool. So could you tell a little bit more about your like work in film industry? What did you do, and so on?
Right. Well, to be perfectly honest, I made a lot of rusty swords.
Okay.
I made props, and props. I don't know if you know this term, but you probably do, having worked in television. But a prop is a thing that an actor holds that helps them tell the story, whatever it is. Depending on the show, the props are different, but anything that the actors hold. And then there's the set, which is the place where the actor is. So the background is the set, and the things that they pick up and use are the props. And so my 16-odd years, 17 years career in film was making props and sets. Different times, different jobs. But in the film industry, you don't just work for somebody and just keep working. You have to get the job for each project. So for every film, you have to get the job, and you're working for 3 or 4 months. Unless you're on a TV show, then you're working for a year, or if it goes for more seasons, you get to have a holiday and then come back for another season. So I was really lucky in that I worked on 2 quite long-running TV shows. So Spartacus went for 4 years,
Wow.
which is that's a really long time in film to work on one job.
Yeah.
And so for those 4 years, I was making rusty swords and shields, Roman armor and helmets and all sorts of things like that in the props department.
Wow. So that's the great experience, I think.
Yeah. And working with the same people, the craziest and the coolest people I ever met in my life were art department people that worked on film.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what about celebrities? Did you see some celebrities on the set?
I did see some. I met a few, but yeah, I was working offset, pre-production, working offset. So I got to meet a few people when they came in to get body casts done, and it was funny on even on Xena Warrior Princess or on Spartacus, when an actor came in to get a body cast done, it was usually because their character was going to get killed.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they'd get a mannequin made so that we could cut their head off or something like that.
Wow, that's a great experience.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, so we'd get to meet people just before they left. So I got to meet, I think one of my favorites was Temuera Morrison. I helped cast his head and shoulder area. Do you know Temuera Morrison?
Not really. I'm trying to figure out who is he. Maybe I know him,
well,
just don't remember his name.
He was the voice of Moana's father.
Oh, okay.
And he was also Boba Fett. In one of the Star Wars movies, he was Boba Fett.
Yeah, you're talking about Moana. I don't have children yet.
No,
so,
no, Moana's a Disney cartoon. So,
really?
Yeah.
It isn't cartoon?
Yeah. It's a cartoon, so he was the voice actor. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was Maui.
Oh, really?
But
yeah,
Temuera Morrison, he's a really famous New Zealand actor.
Oh, wow.
And so for New Zealanders, it was pretty cool to meet him.
Yeah, great. Cool. So I just want to continue talking about your country, but you know...
Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
One more.
Sure. Take
one more name. Tom Cruise. That's a name you'd know.
Really? He's from New Zealand?
Yeah. No, he's not from New Zealand. He worked in New Zealand on the movie The Last Samurai.
Oh, really?
And I was privileged to make a lot of the armor on The Last Samurai. And one day I did get to introduce myself to him.
Wow. And what can you
for
tell?
no particular reason.
Yeah,
we were just in the same place.
Yeah, and what can you tell, like, to those who are fans of Tom Cruise? How is he in real life? What is the person he's?
Oh no, I just walked up to him and said, "Hi, I'm Mark. I made your armor," and then I walked away. That was it.
You know, I know.
I didn't get to talk to him or listen to him at all. I don't know. He's a he's a pretty big guy on set, so you know.
Oh,
he was the star of the.
Is he tall?
No, I don't think he's tall. He was sitting down. He. What I mean is, he was the star of the show.
I got you.
So I was.
Yeah.
I was really. I shouldn't have spoken to him. I shouldn't have talked to him. I was. I wasn't important enough, but I saw him, and he was just sitting down. There was nobody there, and I just walked up and said, "Hi, I'm Mark. I made the armor that you're wearing."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, cool, thanks, man." And then I walked away. That was it.
Oh, okay, but it's still, you know, it's a thing to remember for years. But I've heard that he's a really short guy. Is it really true? Like, he's short?
Well, I'm not that tall, and he was sitting down, so I can't comment on that. But I've seen him standing next to other people, and I think he is short. And I've heard that in some of the movies he's had boxes so that he doesn't look as short as he really is. But that's just hearsay. My own personal experience, I can't really say.
Okay.
I'm 173 centimeters, and I didn't actually see him standing up, so I don't know.
I got you. Okay. So next, I don't know. To me, it's an interesting question. I don't know the history as well as many other people do. So why Australian flag is so similar to New Zealand flag?
Oh, I don't know.
Really?
But I do know that New Zealand had the flag first. So the reason, I think it's location. I don't know why they copied our flag, but the Union Jack is the flag of the United Kingdom, and we were a colony of Great Britain. So that's why we have the Union Jack. Lots of countries around the world have a Union Jack, or did in the past. the stars, the 4 stars on the New Zealand flag are the Southern Cross, which can be seen in the sky in the Southern Hemisphere.
Oh, okay. But in Australian flag, there is one additional star. Like it looks like absolutely similar to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And just one additional star.
So they've actually got 6 stars. So in the New Zealand flag, there are 4 stars. In the Australian flag, the Southern Cross has 5 stars in it. And I think you get a different view of it in Australia. But the extra star under the Union Jack, I don't know what that's for. I think they were just like, well, it can't be the same as New Zealand. We have to make it different.
Okay, but that's the interesting topic for conversation in English Club. We can discuss it.
We nearly changed our flag a few years ago. But nobody, they couldn't agree on a better flag. They had a big competition. They spent $26 million on a referendum, but they ended up deciding not to change it.
But what was the reason why they decided, like why they were talking about changing the flag? What they were, their motivations?
I don't know. Our prime minister at the time, he thought that we should get rid of the Union Jack.
Oh.
Because we're no longer a colony of England. We're still part of the Commonwealth, but he thought that we should just abandon the Union Jack. So we needed a new flag, and there was a lot of division over what the new flag should be. They had a competition and 3 main candidates, 3 finalists. But then when it came down to the last finalist against the flag we have, the country said, no, we'd rather keep our own flag that we already have. So, yeah, it was a lot of money, but nothing happened.
Yeah, it's beyond my mind to understand why such thing happens, you know. Yeah, okay. So we're going to find out.
I like Kazakhstan's flag.
Oh, yeah. It's
with the sun and the eagle.
Yeah.
It's a powerful flag.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely agree with you. So my next question, why did you decided to become a teacher?
Well, my job in film was quite physical, and I dealt with chemicals and other things. I've always felt that it was a young person's job that I didn't want to continue to do for a long, long time. I think that it's a competitive industry, and I think younger people get more jobs in film. So I thought if I kept trying to work in film, I would end up running out of work and I wouldn't get the jobs. So there was that. There was like a shelf life for myself, I thought. And I got married, and as I said to you before, that you've got to get each job, and when Spartacus ended, I went through a dry spell where I didn't work for about 6 months, and so I had to, when there's no work, you have to do something else, whether it's make coffee or paint houses or just do something else. And while I worked in the film industry, I did many other things in between projects. And so I felt that the work was inconsistent and not reliable enough for starting a family, which is what I was doing in my life at that time. So I had this idea that I didn't want to keep doing that as I got older, and I wanted something more reliable. And so I got a different job. I was managing a kayak making plant, a factory that made kayaks. And I was the project manager, or production manager. And I took a month off when our son was born. When I went back to work after that paternity leave, my boss made me redundant. The company that I worked for in Auckland was merging with another company that was in another city of New Zealand, and I had the option of seeking a job at the other company and moving town and taking my wife and baby south and hoping to be the production manager at the other place. But they already had a production manager, so I didn't know what I would do there. I'd only had the job for about a year. I had been successful, but they dissolved the company and merged with another. And my wife and I decided that now's the time. We'd talked about me being an English teacher and going to Thailand before. Like we got married in Thailand.
Oh, really?
And
wow.
Yeah,
on
and
the
so
beach, romantic atmosphere. Is in the movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so we'd talked, ever since we were there, we had talked about how can we live there? What can we do? How would it work? And obviously me being an English teacher would work.
Yeah.
And so we decided, when I got made redundant from Cobra Kayaks, we decided that instead of moving to Palmerston North and trying to get a job with the new company, that we should go to Thailand and I should be an English teacher. Yeah.
And it worked out, right?
That was the decision.
Yeah. It worked out.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't go smoothly, but it eventually worked out. It was funny, the Thai government had a military coup just after I booked my TEFL course. I did a TEFL course in Koh Samui. And so I got made redundant. It took about a week for us to decide what to do. And I booked a TEFL course in Koh Samui, and we bought plane tickets and we were going. And it was about 2 months later we left. But in between that decision and booking those courses and flights and actually going, Thailand had a overthrow of their government. And they had the military in charge of government when we arrived in Thailand. And the first thing the military did was freeze all foreign work visas. So I did my TEFL course, and I got qualified to teach English, but could not get a job in Thailand. So I did some teaching as a part of the course, but once I had finished and got my certificate, I couldn't get a legal work permit to stay in Thailand. So we went to Cambodia.
Yeah.
We were told that Cambodia was just like Thailand, but it wasn't at all. Very different.
Really? And what are the most noticeable differences?
It's filthy.
Filthy? Nice.
Yeah.
But Thailand
lots of dirt street.
Thailand is also dirty, to my opinion.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of beaches, and what Thailand lacks in hygiene, it makes up for in fresh beaches and islands, and just the whole, what you said when I said we got married in Thailand, you're like, oh, romantic beaches. That's the image of Thailand, and it's the reality. But Cambodia doesn't have that. It's got a lot less coastline, and it's got more temples and more jungle. But yeah, Siem Reap, where Angkor Wat is the most like Thailand that Cambodia gets, and that's where we lived. Was the place that was most like Thailand, but it still wasn't enough. And after a year, we quit Cambodia. Yeah.
And then after that, you went to Turkey, right?
Yeah. Well, first we went to Kazakhstan, but while we were in Kazakhstan, our son was a year old, or just over a year old, and we looked at staying in Kazakhstan then, but I also applied for a couple of jobs online, or was looking online, and I applied for one job in Turkey and got it. I did a Skype interview and got the job. So that decided us on.
Yeah, great. So if you let me, can I ask about like forming your family? Because I need to tell my followers that your wife is Kazakh, right? So it's really unusual.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
So we should mention that.
Yeah.
Could you tell us, please, how did you meet each other and how you decided to get married, etc.? If it's not too personal, please.
No, it's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. I'll leave all the really personal stuff out. But as a part of my career in film, I also worked in theme parks, museums, aquariums, lots of things, not just film work, but theming in general. So one of the jobs that I worked on was the Duman Aquarium in what was Astana, but is now Nur Sultan. So that was 20 years ago this year. I went to Astana to help theme the Shark Tank and other exhibits in the Duman Aquarium. And when I was there, I met my wife. But we knew each other for just a few months while I was in Astana. She was studying, her name's Dinara. She was studying university design at Nazarbayev University. I'm not sure what the university is called.
For sure.
It's probably called Nazarbayev University. And so she was studying and working. And we met while she was working, and she was promoting Pantene hair products as a point of sale representative at the supermarket where I bought my groceries. And we dated. We knew each other for just a few months. Then I returned to New Zealand, and we kept in contact for a little while, but then that distance got the better of us, and we broke contact. Oh, she's just commented, Gumilev University.
Is it your wife?
Gumilev.
Is it your wife?
That's my wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hello,
She's
Dinara.
watching. Yeah. So I'm telling the story, but she's watching me tell the story. So Gumilev University is where she.
Can you let me please to translate this story to say shortly in Russian for those who have troubles with understanding. Друзья, Марк женат на нашей соотечественнице Динаре. Они познакомились в Астане. Да, вот так бывает. И 20 лет назад это произошло, представляете? И вот сейчас Марк с семьей живет здесь, и об этом чуть-чуть попозже еще я спрошу. Yeah, so 20 years.
Yeah, not quite. It is 20 years this year, but it was in November that we met. And so it will be 20 years this year.
How you have been knowing each other, right?
Yeah, since we met.
Since we met.
And then so I went back to New Zealand, and we kept in contact for a couple of months, but then the distance got the better of us, and the better of me, really. It was my fault. And then I think 7 years later, Dinara signed up on Skype, got herself a Skype account, and did a search on my name. And she wrote to the Mark Jensens that she found, and I was the fourth one that she wrote to, and I was the only one that answered the question correctly, or I'm not sure I was the only one who answered. And I had the right answer, and it was that was the rekindling of our relationship, which kind of started slowly because, again, there was a great distance. But then I think 2 years later, we met in Thailand for a holiday. Originally, we had planned that she would come to New Zealand, but getting the visa and it's expensive. It's a long way. It's 14,000 kilometres.
Yeah.
New Zealand to, well, Auckland to Kokshetau is 14,000 kilometres. So it's a bit far to go. So we eventually decided the best plan was to meet in Thailand.
Yeah.
And we did. We met in Bangkok and we spent a month together. That was the first time we'd seen each other in 9 years. And that was November 2011. And then, yeah, we were back together after that. And Dinara came to visit me in March of the following year. And she met my family for the first time. We went on a tour of New Zealand and showed her a few places that I love. And then before she left, we got engaged.
Really? In New Zealand?
Yeah. Yeah, in New Zealand we got engaged in March 2012. And then we got married in November 2012 in Thailand, which was 10 years after we had met.
Wow.
And this year, in November, we will have been married 10 years. And now we have 2 children.
Yeah, and actually I wanted to talk about that. Now you have 2 beautiful children, and previously we discussed with you that they are both bilingual. So I want to ask you some kind of tips or advice for those who want their children to be bilingual. So what parents should do to make their children think on 2 languages?
Well, there's one very simple tip that is 100% effective in all cases. And this can work for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 languages. It doesn't really matter how many languages there are. But each language should come from a different person.
Yeah.
So in any Kazakh family, you should have the mother speaking Russian and the father speaking Kazakh to the children from birth. And maybe you have the grandparents speaking Kazakh and father speaking Russian and the mother speaking English, or however it works out in any different family. If you want a baby to be bilingual, you give it different languages from different people. And so that's what we did. That was the only way it was ever going to be with us. We didn't really have to discuss it and convince each other. That's just how it was. My wife was always going to speak Russian with her baby, and I was always going to speak English.
Yeah, so please let me translate that. Yeah, let me translate that because it's really important. Друзья, для тех, кто хочет, у Марка дети билингвы, то есть они знают 2 языка. Они свободно общаются на английском и на русском. And a little bit Kazakh, right? They also speak a little bit Kazakh.
Well, we lived in Turkey for 6 years. So Alan attended 2 years of kindergarten and a year of school. And I don't know, especially. Hi, Ruslan. Yes, I speak a little bit of Māori, but mostly just greetings and place names. The Māori language is called Te Reo. I know a little bit of Turkish, and I'm learning Russian at the moment, but mostly just English. So, Alan went to school for 1 year, but he also went to kindergarten for 2 years in Turkey, and he learnt Turkish from his teachers. So we didn't teach him Turkish, but he learnt it at school. And Dylan was on his way to learning Turkish as well. And they're currently forgetting the Turkish but replacing it with Kazakh.
So I think we should like make some conclusion that it's really important to have native speaker. Like if you want to make your children bilingual.
No.
Natives, no, don't you think so?
No, I don't think people should use not having a native as an excuse. Because if we say that it's really important to have a native teacher, then people will go, well, I can't do that. I don't have a native available to teach my children. It is definitely a benefit to have a native, but the beginning doesn't have to be a native. Lots of second language teachers, like, you know, a Russian person or a Kazakh person can teach the language. You're not a native speaker, but you are fluent. You are well capable of teaching anybody English.
So you think that it will work out as well, right?
Yeah. I think that natives benefit learners in the intermediate to advanced level. But the beginner level doesn't have to come from a native. Not at all.
Yeah, I got you. So let me translate that. Итак, друзья, если вы хотите, чтобы ваши дети были билингвы, то нужно с самого рождения, то есть как ребенок начинает говорить, нужно учить какие-то слова, нужно с ним разговаривать только на том языке, которому вы хотите его обучить. Например, у Марка в семье он с детьми разговаривает только на английском, его супруга разговаривает только на русском, и дети свободно переключаются между двумя языками, то есть у них нет проблем с переключением, они прям конкретные билингвы. Билингвы — это те люди, которые нативно, то есть естественно, без каких-либо усилий переключаются между двумя языками. То есть у них два родных языка. Yeah, that's great. And actually, we talked with you that they don't have problems with switching from each language.
No, that's right. My boys don't have a problem switching languages. It happens with some kids, and when you have one parent, so they're speaking the native language, but then they're teaching the second language. So a Russian-speaking parent teaching their children English. Those children will mix up the languages with that parent because they know that parent speaks multiple languages. Like our kids know that my wife speaks English, and they are, like when we were in Turkey, they were better at English because they heard more of it. Like they would speak Russian and hear Russian from their mother, but when their mother and I were speaking to each other, it was in English. And so they would hear more English. And so their English is better, or was better. Now that they're living in Kazakhstan, their Russian is just going up so fast because they're at school. They hear Russian around them all the time. That didn't happen when we were in Turkey.
Yeah, that's a very important conversation. I think it will help many people to learn.
So when they're talking to their mum, they will throw in English words for things they don't know in Russian. They'll have a conversation in Russian, but they might throw out the odd English word if they don't know what the Russian word is.
Yeah, maybe because
But they never speak Russian to me unless they're trying to teach me something.
I think sometimes they're mixed up because they accept both these languages as native languages. So they just accept that it's the same language.
What I mean is that they aren't actually confused.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
But they know their mother will understand the English word, so they use it.
Oh, yeah. I got you in not a proper way. Yeah, I understand.
If they're talking to me and they don't know a word, they will describe the thing in English. They won't give me the Russian for it because they don't expect me to understand it.
Yeah.
So they're not actually confused, but they can communicate. The interesting thing for me and my wife is that when they're speaking to each other, they speak English. If they're
Really?
having a game where if they're talking with their toys, if they're playing with a couple of toys and the toys are talking to each other, those toys are speaking English.
Wow, that's so
and
unusual.
they talk to each other in English. But I think that their Russian is very good. They are bilingual, but their Russian is definitely improving a lot since they've come to Kazakhstan, because Dinara said that their English was much better than their Russian, but now it's starting to even out, I think.
It's so useful for children to know, two languages from the very childhood. That's so cool. Yeah. That I think our
it improves brain function in everybody.
Yeah.
Children, adults, anybody can get a higher functioning brain from having multiple languages.
Yeah.
It's absolutely scientifically established fact.
Yeah.
So if you can raise your children to be bilingual, there is absolutely no reason not to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the key to it is to have different languages from different teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for sharing your experience. That's great. I think it's really useful. Next, my question will be about mentality. It's interesting. Like, you found Kazakh wife. How did your parents accept your wife? Like, she's absolutely from different country. She's different nationality. How did they accept you, and how Dinara's parents accept you?
Well, my parents accepted Dinara without question. They were happy that I had made a choice and found something.
It's so cute.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, it's a little bit sad thing, but my father knew of Dinara but never got to meet her. He died of cancer. So yeah, before Dinara came to Kazakhstan, came to New Zealand. So my dad never got to meet her, but no, my mum had. There was no question of her accepting Dinara for whoever she was, because I had chosen her. But I think it was a bit harder for Dinara's parents because of traditions. Things are more traditional. Yeah, I guess the culture of Kazakhstan is a little bit more traditional. So I met Dinara's parents when they came to Thailand to our wedding. So I think that's very unusual for Kazakhs to meet the husband when it's already been decided. Yeah. Normally that would happen much earlier in the situation.
So I think they were ready for everything as they accepted.
Yeah, but I guess they trusted Dinara and that she had made the right choice and was certain about her decision, and it's been really great. Like we don't get to talk because I'm only really starting to learn Russian since we're here. I should have learned Russian a long time ago, but I haven't. But now I am, and it's going slowly because I think Russian is a very hard language to learn.
Absolutely agree with you.
I was much more successful with Turkish than I have been with Russian, but it'll work. It'll happen. But yeah, Dinara's parents accepted me as well. We've been really lucky in the way our families have treated us, or respectively treated each other.
Yeah,
and
that's a cool story.
And I mean, now we're in Kazakhstan and we're living with Dinara's parents.
It's according to traditions, so it's absolutely common to live with the parents. Yeah, so that's great. I'm really glad that you have such a great story. But I would like to know, like, your emotions when you came to Kazakhstan. How did you feel? Was it hard for you to get used to the mentality, to traditions, to horse, for example? Because as I remember, when I was abroad in USA, in England, like foreigners, they were shocked that we eat horses. Like it's really hurt their feelings. So what about you? How did you accept this?
Well, yeah, I was surprised about the horses, but that was 20 years ago, and I tried horse for the first time in a restaurant, just to try it. I didn't have, like, my first experience of eating horse meat was not eating bishparmak with a family, and like that was my second experience, which happened much later. But my first experience of eating horse meat was just like an experiment that I just decided to do it on my own, and was like, yeah, that's good. I can see why you would eat that. It makes sense that the nomads of the Kazakh steppe would eat the horses. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
It's logical.
Sure, because there was no other, choice, of course.
Yeah. You have there's a history of herding horses. They're better than sheep. They can run faster than sheep. When you have to travel great distances from summer to winter, chasing the grass to feed the animals, horses make a lot more sense than sheep.
Sure.
Like in England, in New Zealand, and in other parts of the world, you don't have to go as far to keep up with the growth season. But in Kazakhstan, places like Kazakhstan, there's a lot of traveling from north to south just to find the food. And, I'm talking hundreds of years ago in the nomadic history. And why would you let go of your culture? Why would anybody let go of their culture? So it made sense for people to eat horses 300-400 years ago in this land, and it still makes sense now.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't know. I'm a bit logical. I like horses. I've ridden horses since I was a teenager, and I think they're beautiful creatures, and they have an intelligence. But I mean, you can have that kind of a bond with a cow as well.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely agree.
People have pet pigs. I'm much more comfortable eating a horse than eating a dog. But there's people who do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Korea and Vietnam and a few other places, eating dogs is quite normal. But I think I wouldn't eat a dog, but I'm okay with eating a horse.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand you and absolutely agree with you. Like, it's really logical. It's because of the history, so there was no other choice.
Yeah. But the Soviet mentality, I think, is a bit harder to get used to. The bureaucracy and that kind of, for New Zealand, people just help when it's when their job is to be in customer service. They're much more helpful.
Right. Actually, we don't have customer service at all. It's my pain, I'm always talking about that in social media. Yeah, we have here a question from Ruslan. It's my friend.
Another one from Ruslan, yeah.
Yeah, is there anything that impressed you in Kazakh cuisine or lifestyle?
Well, yeah, I think what we've just been talking about. I like learning about the history of Kazakhstan and the people. Generally, I'm interested in history, and because I'm connected with a Kazakh family, my family is Kazakh, and I'm living here, I am interested in Kazakh history and culture. And rather picking out a specific thing that impressed me, I don't know. One thing that I am entertained by is the amount of superstition.
Yeah, it's not only about Kazakhstan. In Russia, it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's not solely Kazakhs. It comes from Russia as well. But yeah, um, the level of general superstition is quite mind blowing sometimes.
Yeah, I understand. You know, my mother always like saying me something. Don't do like that. Oh, the mirror is broken. Something bad is going to happen. You should do this and that. So it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. One of the most it's the whistling inside.
Yeah.
That's the one that I always get drawn to. You shouldn't whistle inside.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah,
Why
it's
not?
for losing money, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'll lose your money if you whistle inside.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah, there's things like that. Just there's lots and lots and lots of these things, and I can't remember all of them. But that I think would be the thing that impressed me about Kazakh lifestyle or culture.
Yeah, Ruslan,
Um,
thank you for your question. Thank you.
yeah, I like Manti. I like Beshparmak. I like Bolsak. Uh, yeah, I like Kazakh cuisine. Although I prefer more vegetables.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Now.
I like
I
vegetables.
want to be, I forgot his name again. Jared Leto, yes, of course. I would like to be like a Jared Leto in my 50s.
Vegan. Yeah.
Yeah, he's completely.
Yeah, well, I remember you talking about that, and like he's not that. He's only a couple of years older than me.
Really?
So, yeah, you said he's 50, right?
Right.
Right. Well, I'm 48.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm of an age with Jared Leto, but I haven't been vegan or straight edge or
Yeah.
like that.
Maybe
No.
you have good genes or something.
Yeah, I think so. I've seen a meme recently, an Instagram meme of people saying 70s and 80s kids out here looking younger than everybody. And I'm like, yeah, it's not just me. It's an entire generation of people.
Yeah.
We are lucky. And I think now I'm living my cleanest life. I have the least amount of road bumps. What do we call them? I'm trying to remember. Well, potholes. Potholes. That's right. Yeah,
What is
potholes.
that? Could you explain, please?
That's the holes in the road, right?
Yeah.
When the road hasn't been repaired, the potholes. It doesn't matter how good your car is or how good you're driving. If you go over a pothole, it can be a bad thing. So, if you're doing lots of good things in your life, like if you're eating healthy and exercising, that's great. But it's not going to solve all your problems if you're also like drinking lots of alcohol or drinking too much coffee. There's doing good things for yourself is great, but doing bad things to yourself is there's got to be that balance. Everything in moderation. So I think over the last 10 years since I've been a married family man, the way I treat myself is the best it has been since I was a child.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I never looked after myself. From the age of 18 to the age of 40, I didn't look after myself at all. But since then I have.
Yeah, that's a perfect choice.
Yeah.
Never late, you know, to start looking at yourself and asking yourself what I can do for my future, for my beautiful future. Okay, so as an English teacher, could you give some advices? The best way to learn English for my followers?
Right. Well, my advice. Sorry, I'm shaking my phone a bit there. My advice for how to improve your English, how to learn quickly, and the best methods, all comes from students that have told me how they did it. So when I talk to somebody who speaks English really well, as their second or third language, I asked them how they did it. Personal interest is the common theme. So nobody tells me that it was from reading grammar textbooks. Okay. People learn English at school, but then they didn't use it and they forgot it. But how they became fluent, or how they got communication skills, how somebody went from a beginner or an intermediate to an advanced English speaker, that all comes from motivation and desire and personal interest.
Exactly.
So it might be movies, it might be a TV show, it might be music, it might be reading. Whatever your personal interest is, whatever rocks your boat, whatever it is that captivates you, use that. It could be your hobby. Whatever is interesting to you is the tool, the vehicle that you should use to learn a language.
Yes.
So, yeah, some people told me, I've got a student in Japan who said that he learned English by listening to the Beatles. I had a friend in Turkey who said that she learned English by watching movies. She became fluent in English not by being taught by anybody. She taught herself, and I've got students in Kazakhstan that say the same thing.
Wow.
That they watch movies, they use subtitles, and they watch movies in English. And I've had other students that hear people speaking English on the street, and they walk up to them and start conversations. They just want English. They want to learn it. They consume it at every available opportunity. Put your phone in English. Put your devices in English. Make yourself do it. And it's coming from the inside. You grab it. You take it. Don't wait for somebody. I've said this to students before. I can't put English in your brain. You have to take it from me. I've got it here. I will give it to you. But you must take it. I can't put it in there.
Exactly. Let me translate it, please. It's so powerful. Итак, друзья, я спросила Марка, какие советы он может дать касательно изучения языка. Первое, что он говорит, что важна мотивация. То есть вы должны хотеть выучить язык. Второй момент, вы должны совместить изучение языка со своими интересами. То есть если вы любите читать, читайте на английском. Если вы любите смотреть фильмы, смотрите фильмы на английском. Он рассказывал примеры студентов, которые... Там студентка выучила английский, слушая Beatles, потому что она их фанатка была, любила. А другая студентка выучила английский, смотря фильмы. Другой студент любил общаться, ходил, общался, выучил таким образом английский. И Марк сказал такую чудесную фразу, что я не могу положить английский в вашу голову. То есть вы сами должны это делать. Какой бы ни был хороший учитель, вам все равно нужно самим приложить усилия для того, чтобы язык проник в ваши знания и сознание. Wow! Mark, I think our conversation was so useful for my followers, for students who will see after that. So thank you for your time. And let's welcome. Say about our English club. Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, we started in September last year, but it is now the English-speaking club at Walikhanov University. It has come under the umbrella of the Lifelong Learning Institute. And it means that anybody can come along to Walikhanov University and sign up for the 2-month course. We've already started, so we've got February and March is going now, but if you're interested, get your name down for the April-May course.
Yeah, so
it's only 15,000 a month, so 30,000 tenge for about 27, 28 hours.
Yeah,
it's twice twice a week for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
In the evening.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a little over 1,000 tenge an hour.
Yeah.
So it's good value, and you get to have conversations with me and with each other. So it's not just it's not a one-on-one. It's a group of up to 20 students with me as the coach. But it's a way for people to get from that intermediate to advanced. So it's not a course for beginners, but from upper beginner, is that a thing? Upper beginner or
I think elementary.
Lower intermediate. I think lower intermediate.
Yeah. Upper intermediate.
To develop, and you can develop from your own level, and you'll get something out of it. I think anybody that's at a lower intermediate level will be advanced enough to improve by joining the speaking club.
Yeah, so I will translate that. Ребят, Марк живет в Кокштау, то есть он здесь, у него здесь семья, он еще долго здесь будет находиться, поэтому у вас есть прекрасная возможность присоединиться к нашему English Club, который проходит в университете Шаканова-Лиханова вторник и четверг, 2 месяца, 15 тысяч тенге стоимость за месяц, 2 раза в неделю. И этот курс, точнее, этот English Club будет полезен для тех, кто как бы знает английский, то есть если у вас, например, pre-intermediate, intermediate, upper intermediate, то вы сможете его повысить до advanced. То есть если вы на начальном этапе, вам, конечно, будет сложно, потому что все-таки там до 20 человек группа, Марк объясняет какую-то тему, мы что-то обсуждаем, то есть нужно будет разговаривать. Поэтому если вы недостаточно знаете английский, вам будет сложновато. То есть если вы beginner и elementary, это будет сложно. Но если вы pre-intermediate, то свободно вы сможете повысить свой уровень, поэтому пишите мне в директ, я вам отправлю все данные, присоединяйтесь к English Club. Я сама участник этого English Club, поэтому учите английский вместе с нами. Mark, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this conversation. We have been talking more than 1 hour. Wow. It's just like 50 minutes, you know, for me. It's so interesting. Yeah, and I just need to mention that our English Club, it's not only like sitting at the class, we also have meetings in cafes, and we also can discuss something. Yeah, that was cool experience. I really like that. Друзья, мы еще помимо того, что мы сидим, просто общаемся в университете, мы еще куда-то выходим, то есть мы выходим куда-то в кафешечку покурить шиша, smoke shisha, and additional things for entertainment. So please join us. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your sharing your story, because sometimes it was a little bit personal, but you told me, you answered all the questions, so I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
So we will be waiting for all those people who are watching our interview and will be watching after that. So please join us and learn English with Mark. So have a great night. Have a good night. And
you too.
See you.
You too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm finishing this live.
Okay.
Bye-bye. See you.
See you. And we broke contact. Oh. She's just commented, Gumlev University.
Is it your wife?
Gumlev.
Is it your wife?
That's my wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hello.